New laws have taken place since the beginning of 2013, and a new $3.3 billion settlement just might help homeowners in need. Attorney at law Donald E. Wolfe is joining us this morning with more details on this. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
This might be the news a lot of people have been waiting for, this settlement with banks like Bank of America, with the feds, realizing that a lot of wrongdoing had happened. A lot of people were affected over the past several years regarding the housing market. Talk about this. What does this settlement mean?
Well, absolutely. A few days ago, what happened was the Office of the Comptroller of Currency, they came out, they settled with 10 major banks. The settlement amount was actually $8.5 billion. So we have 3.3 that's being allocated toward prior wrongdoings, trying to remedy illegal foreclosures, bad loan modifications, things like that. And then we have another $5.2 billion that has been put into the queue to try to help existing distressed borrowers.
Okay, so let's start with the 3-point-whatever billion first. Those are going to go, that money is actually going to be disseminated to people who have been hurt by this housing crisis. Who is eligible for that huge amount of money?
Any borrower that was in the foreclosure process through 2009 or 2010 fits into the class of eligible borrowers for this particular settlement.
Is that going to go right to them, or do they need to fill out some paperwork to figure out if they're eligible?
Well, the devil's in the details, like most things. So they're supposed to be, any borrower that is eligible is supposed to be contacted by the banks by no later than March 31st. However, I think it's prudent to act first, get something out to the lender, let them know you're in that process during that time period and you're looking for a remedy.
That's right, be proactive in this regard. Now let's talk about the $5.2 billion for people who are in distress right now with their homes. They are now eligible for some help.
Well, they are, and what they're trying to do is take that 5.2 and spread it out. The idea is to pump that into the modification programs, potentially principal forgiveness. Also, people that have seconds, there's a potential for forgiveness of seconds also.
What do you think, though, in all honesty, that how much of this money do you think is going to go towards bureaucracy, red tape, and how much of it do you think is really going to get to the people who need this?
That's a good question. Here's the tricky part. Let's start with the 3.3. If you take 3.3 and you distribute it amongst the class of people, which they're anticipating is about 3.8 million people, that ends up being about $1,700 per person.
Yeah.
So the person that lost their home wrongfully, $1,700 doesn't necessarily put a smile on their face.
Sure.
So the devil, again, is in the details, and they need to determine and figure out who's eligible and to what degree they've been harmed so that the payment can be connected and correlated to the type of wrong that happened.
And hopefully that doesn't take too long. All right, and to give some real quick background on this, this all stemmed from late 2007, 2008, when the housing market tanked, the bubble burst, correct?
Absolutely. The bubble burst, and what happened was the banks were ordered to do some work for borrowers. It didn't quite work out that way. They got audited by the Office of the Comptroller of Currency. That office came in and said, boy, you've done a bad job, so we're going to make you do something called an independent foreclosure review. That was supposed to take about a year. It was supposed to be a quick process. It was supposed to identify and help out a lot of borrowers. But they determined in December of this year that it just wasn't working at all. There was about 4.5 million borrowers that needed to be reviewed. In December of this year, they'd reviewed about 400,000.
Oh my goodness, well, it's a long process, and hopefully this process of determining who gets the money won't take that long.
No, the idea here is to speed it up. We've identified the class. There's 3.8 million people. We just have to determine to what degree they get a portion of that pie.
Okay, Donald Wolfe, located in Old Town here in San Diego.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your insight. Appreciate it. Nice to have you on again.
Thank you.
Good to see you.